Good morning, everyone. Myself, Julie Yadav, Assistant Professor in CSE Department. I'm from Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. So, my today's topic is multiple access control. Basically, what the thing is, while we are transmitting the data from one source to another, like as we know, this OSI layer, OSI model has 7 layers. 7 layers, physical layer and data link layer. Earlier, we have studied about physical layer. Now we are moving towards the data link layer. What the data link layer is? Data link layer is the layer in which the data is received from the network layer. It receives the data from the network layer and then it transmits the data by doing some of conversion, some forms, some encoding or some encryption. It then send that data to the physical layer, which further then send it to the receiver end. So, the data link layer is of data link layer has mainly the two sublayers. First is LLC. LLC is logical link control. Logical link control, in which we study about various flow control protocols, right, and error controls. So, in logical link control, we basically study about the flow control, various protocols like simplest protocol, go back and ARQ protocol, then sliding window protocol. These we studied in the flow control, and in error control we studied about while the data is sending from one source to another place or at the receiver, and then we want that there should be no error while the data is transmitting, right. So, to ensure that the data is what we have sent is same received by the receiver. So, we need to control that there should be no occurrence of any type of error. So, we study these two things in upper layer, or we can say that not in the upper layer. Basically, data link layer, this one is data link layer. It is of two, it is further divided into two sublayers, that is logical link control, in which we study about flow control, error control and many other techniques. Another one is multiple access control. So, what does this multiple access control is? In the multiple access control, we basically study about the channel that we are using to transmit the data from one source to the another. So, what does this is? Multiple access control means while the source is sending the data at the receiver end, then this is the only channel, right? This is the only channel in which multiple system or the multiple nodes are connected. So, while A wants to send the data to any FE, then there may be B who wants to send data to another one, and there may be C who wants to send data to another data in the another network. So, three of them need to send the data, and there is only a single channel, then how it will be sent? Then we use the multiple access control, means while all of them will send the data from its point to another point by using the same link. So, what we want while we are sending the data, it should be secure, there should be no there should be no collision and no errors during the transmission. We want this. So, to control these things, we need to know about the multiple access control, how the multiple systems are connected, how the collision can be controlled while all of them are sending the data from their end to the another end. So, what does multiple access control sublayer is? The multiple access control has basically two sublayers. I have just told you the data link layer has two sublayers. The upper sublayer is responsible for data link control, and the lower sublayer is responsible for resolving access to the shared media. So, data link control is all about logical link control, right? It is all about MAC, multiple access control. So when nodes or stations want to connect or wants to send a data from one source to another, they use a common link called the multipoint, or when they want to broadcast their data, they use a broadcasting link. So we need a multiple access protocol to coordinate these access to the link. How? These links, as we know, that while we are sending the data, the multiple nodes can be send the data at the same time. So there is a proper means proper access, means everyone should have the access to that particular link. So the data should be secure. To make the surety, we use following protocols in the multiple access protocol. The first one is the random access protocol, in which there is no control, that there is no superior who will or we can say there is no administration who control the overall transmission. So it comes under the random access protocol. Then next one is controlled access protocol, means there is someone who will control the transmission, right? And then third one is channelization protocol, in which the link is by using multiple mux or demux is further divided into many other types. Like if this is the channel, then by using a mux, we can divide that channel into a channel of multiple frequencies, so that the different frequency of data can be sent by using the same link. So this will study in the channelization protocol. So starting from random access protocol. So basically what the random access protocol are, they are like there is no superior to another station, means while we are sending the data by using a random access protocol, there is no superior. If these are the nodes, then all have the equal rights. There is no superior, there is no administrator in the during this transmission. So no one is assigned the control, means no one control this transmission. No station permits or does not permit any other station. None of these stations have the right to say you send the data or first I will send the data. Everyone has all kinds of rights, right? So there are two features given in this method. Is the first, there should be no schedule time for any station to transmit the data. So the transmission is random among these stations. That's why this method is known as random access. Second, there is no rule that specify which station should send the data next. Station complete with one another is to access the medium. That is why these methods are also called contention methods. So in random access method, each station has a right to the medium without being controlled by any other station. So if more than one station wants to send the data, then there is definitely a conflict arise. This conflict is known as collision. So the frames will be either destroyed or modified. To avoid these kinds of conflicts, we need to resolve them by following some kind of procedure. So the procedure, the first method is Aloha. What this Aloha is? Aloha is one of the method in which while we are sending the data, or while multiple stations wants to send the data, then there is a synchronization, try to improve or try to avoid collision. So one method is Aloha. Aloha was the earliest or the first random access method that was developed by the University of Hawaii in the 1970s. It was designed for the wireless transmission, that is for the radio transmission, but it cannot be used while we are sending the data on a shared medium. What does this wireless? In wireless or in radio medium, there is one communication, one to one, or we can say one mode of communication. Only the speaker is sending the data. No other one is also sending the data. So this Aloha was used for that, for those transmission of data that was done in the radio frequency. So it has two variants, pure Aloha and slotted Aloha. So pure aloha or the aloha was, they both are the same. This is the simplest and elegant protocol. The idea is that each station sends a frame when it has a frame to send. However, since there is no only one channel to share, there is a possibility of collision between frames from different stations. Here are 4 stations and everyone is sending the frame. No one is controlling them. Suppose station 1 has the frame, so it sends its frame. Station 2 has frame at after some time, but station 1 has already sending its frame. So here you can say 3 also sends the frame, 4 also. Here there is a collision, means before the data is received or the complete whole frame is transmitted at the receiver end, another station sends the data. Like if this is the station that has sent the data at time t, here it is the data, and then at time t another station sends the data. Then the data sent by station A and data sent by station B, they gets collide, right? If this in this kind of aloha, they let me explain you the procedure, how if there is a collision, how it can be cured, right? The procedure is like, if station wants to send the data, it will start, means the value of k should be 0. K represent the number of attempts, means if the first attempt, then the value of k is 0. If next attempt, the value of k will be incremented. So if any station has the data, it will start sending it by incrementing its attempt. Earlier it was k0, it will send the frame. Then this is the waiting time. Wait time out is means 2 into 2p. 2 into 2p. This is the vulnerable time. Vulnerable time. What does this vulnerable time is? Basically, vulnerable time is the time that means vulnerable time is the time that if any station sends the data. For example, if station A has sent the data at particular time t, right, it is of this size, right? So it will send the data. Its transmission time is TP, right? This is the time, means if the transmission time is double, if the next station wants to send the data, then it should wait at least 2 into TP. If it sends the data at some time at 12, then it need to be wait at least at 12:10. Then only it will send the data. So if it waits for 2 into TP time, if acknowledgement received, if yes, it means it can send the data. If no, means it there might be a collision. That means there might be a collision. The receiver or the sender does not receive the acknowledgement of that particular frame. Then what it has to be done? It has to be attempt the next attempt. So it will increase the value of k. If here k is the number of attempts and the maximum value for k is 15, means any sender or any station can attempt up to 15 attempts only. If attempts exceed 15, then it need to be wait for a longer time to transmit that data again. So if the value of k, suppose here it was k is 0, now k is 1, k max is 15, still the k is 1, so it is smaller, then choose a random number r between, then it will choose a random number, right? Random number ranges from 0 to 2k minus 1. If k is 1, 2 raised to the power k is 1, means the random number should be between 0 to 1. Then after choosing a random number, it has to be wait till this time. TB is equals to R into TP or R into TFR. It is the time for a particular frame. Average transmission. TFR is average transmission time for a frame. R is basically the retransmission, and TP is the maximum propagation time. K is the number of attempts. TB is back of time, means the time which it has to be used to again send the data to the receiver. So, let me explain you by using this means, let me give you a very clear understanding of vulnerable time. Vulnerable time is the length of time in which there is a possibility of collision. We assume that the station can send fixed length frame with each frame taking TFRS to send the vulnerable time for that particular station. Suppose at particular time means T minus TFR is the time some station B has sent, right, and another station wants to send the data. It will start from at another time T. Then if we want, then there should be no collision. What we want? If this station had start at 12 p.m. and we know that at 12:10 the data will be received by the receiver. So, what we want? Till this time means within these 10 minutes there should be no transmission. So, if another station wants to send the data, like A wants to send the data. So, what does it want? Ki before, if it takes 10 minutes to transmit the data from source to destination, then before 10 means before 10, if it starts sending the data at 12:10, then before 12:10 there should be no transmission by any of the station. Then only the transmit before this time and after 2:20. It means the time between 2:10 to 2:20 is the safest time. This is the time, or the we can say this is time TP. Then before that and after that there should be no transmission, then only there will be no collision, right? So, that is why the vulnerable time is 2 into TP. I hope this is clear to you. So, this is the time, vulnerable time, which has the we can say the possibility of collision is minimum or it almost null. If you are sending the data by using a vulnerable time, then there will be definitely no collision during the transmission, right? So, what does this throughput is? Throughput for pure Aloha. Let us take G is the average number of frames generated by the system during first frame transmission number. Then the throughput should be S is equals to G into e raised to the power minus 2G. Here G is the average number of frames that we want to send. So, the maximum throughput means the value of S max is 0.184. If the value of G is half, then it shows what is the maximum possibility that there should be no collision or the data will send secure or as it has been sent. So, possibility is 18.4%. This is the possibility which has surely said that data will be, there will be no collision in the data, means the collision possibility is only 18.4, means while we are sending the data, if we are sending hundreds data, then only 18.4 data has been received by the receiver. How it has been solved? Let me give you, if the value of a pure Aloha network transmit 200 bit frame is 200 shared by a common, and the or the channel rate at which the data can be sent is 200 kbps. So, 200 into 200 kbps, sorry, 200 kbps, it is in kbps, we need to convert it into bps. So, while 200 is multiplied by 1000, then it means it is 200 kbps. We have to convert it into a bps. So, 200 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 3 divided by the number of frames send, how many frames we need to send? 200 bit of frames. 200 bit frames and 1000 frames means the size of frame is 200 bit and how many frames? We need to send 1000 frames. So, here it is 2000 divided by 1000 and we get the value as G equals to 1. G equals to 1 for what? G equals to 1 is for slotted aloha. Means if the value of G is 1, then we get the maximum number of packets received at the receiver end. If the value of G is half, then the data or the data received at the receiver end is of half, or we can say that the 18.4% of data can be received while we are using the pure aloha, as the possibility is very small that only the 18.4% of data is received at the receiver end, but still there is a collision. So, to improve that, we have implemented another aloha, that is the slotted aloha. So, the slotted aloha was invented to improve the efficiency of pure aloha. In pure aloha, the vulnerable time is 2 into TP, and in slotted aloha, the vulnerable time is TP. So, in slotted aloha, we divide the time into a fixed slot. Here you can get to know the word is slotted. So, the time that we are using to send the data from one source to another, it has now been divided into a slots, right? Why we are dividing the slots? Because the data can be only transmitted when the next slots starts, right? So, because a station is allowed to send only at the beginning of the synchronized time of slot. If the station miss that moment, then it will wait until the next slot begins. So, in this way a number of collision reduces, right? Here you can say the time is divided into a number of slots. This is slot 1, 2, 3, 4 and many. So, the time is divided, still there is a collision, but the chances of collision reduces. How to reduce? Suppose if station 1 at 12, station 1 wants to send the data, many other stations also wants to send the data, but they miss for a few seconds. Then after few seconds also they will not be allowed to send the data. At that time, if frame 1 has just sent the data, then there is no collision. Then another frame, another stations can only send the data until the next station is until the next slot is started. If the next slot is started, then another stations also send the data. So, there is also the possibility of collision. Here you can say at in slot 2 means at 12:10, if we have taken 10 minutes of slot, at 12:10 station 2 and station 3 has started sending the data and there is a collision. At time 12:20 also, both the stations have started sending the data, so there is a collision. There at slot 4, there is no collision, the data can be in 5th and 6th, there is no collision. So, in slotted aloha, it means the slot is fixed, so it reduces the number of collisions, means no one can send the no one can start sending the data until the next slot begins, right? Here, if some station have start sending the data, another cannot send in between this. So, in this way, the vulnerable time has been reduced to half. It was earlier, it was in pure aloha, it was 2 into TP. Now, it is only the transmission time that has been used to transmit the data from source to the destination. So, vulnerable time has been reduced, and in this case, the throughput is S is equals to G into E raised to the power minus G. Earlier it was S is equals to G into E raised to the power minus 2G. In this way, the value of G is equals to 1. Earlier it was G half, means the value of G is equals to 1 by 2. which gets the maximum throughput of 18.4%. But here the maximum throughput at when the value of G is 1 is 36.8%. Means it improves the efficiency of the pure Aloha when we have converted into the slotted Aloha. When we have divided the time interval into a number of different slots, then it improves the efficiency of transmission. So, here this was also the same 200 bytes of frame, 1000 bytes per frame, and the transmission rate is 200. It will give you the value of G equals to 1. While we are putting the value of G equals to 1, then we get the value of S is equals to 36.8%. It means the chances of collision reduces, and the efficiency means the data can be transmitted. We can say how much data has been transmitted. So 36.8 data has been safely transmitted from source to the destination. So next one is carrier CSMA. So still in the pure Aloha, there was so much collision. It will improve by introducing the slotted Aloha, but still there are chances of collision because its efficiency is only 36.8%. So we need to improve that efficiency, and we want that whatever the data we are sending, it should be received at the receiver end. As we have sent it, it has been received as the receiver end. So to improve the pure Aloha and slotted Aloha, the next is carrier sensor multiple access, that is CSMA. So to minimize the chances of collision and therefore increase the performance, the CSMA was developed. CSMA required each first listen to the medium and then sending the data. It means, what does this, as from the word itself you get to know, carrier sense multiple access means if any station wants to send the data, then it need to be sensed whether there is any data traveling on the channel or not. How it can be sensed? Suppose if this is a network, A have just sent the data at some time interval T, right? And it has reached to B. It means what? Means B has sensed that someone has sent the data on this channel. Then as it reaches B, it understands that there is something on the channel that is transmitting. So it has sensed, so it does not send the data as it sends. But C, D and E, they haven't sensed any data, so they can send the data, right? Because the data is still reached by the B, not by the C, D and E. So there are still chances of collision. But in this, this can be the improved version of slotted Aloha, that is, we can only send the data until there is no data sensed by the sender. So CSMA can reduce the possibility of the collision, but it cannot eliminate it. Yeah, surely it cannot eliminate it. Here, this is an area. This is the possibility of collision still exists because of propagation delay. Here you can say at time T, at time T1, B has sent the data. While data is sent, suppose while the data is sending, then it will transmit in both the direction, right? If some intermediate node is sending the data, then it has to be sent in both the direction. So at time T1, B has sent the data and it has been received by A. Received by A means it has sensed that there is no data, but before it reaches the C, C has also start sending the data. So this is the area where B signal have exist. area where B signal exists means B have sent the data. But this is the area at some time T2 at time T2, C has start sending the data because B's data has not been reached by C, right? So before it sends, it starts sending the data. So this is the area in which C has sent the data. At some time, this is the time where they both collide, because their data comes in both the direction. C has sent the data in this direction and B has sent the data in this direction, right? So at this time, there is a collision in the data. A has received, but C has not received. So there is a chance of collision. When a station sends a frame, it still takes time for the first bit to reach every station, and every station should sense it, because when the data is transmitted, each bit, as the first bit received by any of the sender or receiver, then it can sense it that something is traveling on that medium. But until it is not received by any of the frame, what does it mean? It means there is no transmission, because it does not able to sense that data, right? So the medium is idle and send the data, it feels like that. So this can only happen because the first bit sent by other station has not been yet received. As here it shows that station B starts sending the data because it finds it idle, so it sends the data at time T. At time T2, when C sees station C finds that the medium is idle, it sends the data, but B have not reached station C. Station C also sends a frame, so two signal collide and both the frames gets destroyed. So this is the collision point where both the frames gets destroyed, right? So the vulnerable time in CSMA is this. The left station A sends a frame at time T1, which reaches the right station data at time T1 plus TP. The yellow area shows the vulnerable. So this is the vulnerable time, means in this time there should be no transmission of any data by any of the station. So how we can keep sensing the data? There are three methods. The first one is one persistent, non-persistent and p-persistent. One persistent is continuously sensing the data. Here you can say that the station who wants to send the data is continuously focusing on the channel. Is there any, is the data has been transmitted? It is continuously sensing the data. As it finds that channel is idle, it start sending the data. This is one persistent. Non-persistent is first sense, then wait for some time, then sense, then wait for some time. So in this way, it sends the data. After a few interval of time, it sends the data. Here, there is a disadvantage that this waiting time has been reduced, or any other station can also start sending the data in this. And the p-persistence is some probability has been given to different stations, and after continuously sensing, then they sense at a particular slot. If it finds idle, if it is the probability of that particular station, then it has to be send the data, else it will not send the data until the probability it has get is not reached or achieved. So this is the way how one persistent, non-persistent and p-persistent works. So we'll cover the next CSMA CD in the next presentation. Thank you.